let me just read out a couple things. I wrote a couple of these down, and I just wanted to just bring it to the forefront, and then we can really kind of dive in.
For sure.
So toxic relationships. Significant other always finds something negative to say, or they give unsolicited advice or suggestions. They don't support your interests or hobbies. Stripping away your self-esteem. There's a clear imbalance of power in the relationship. They are controlling and obsessively jealous.
That's a big one.
Yeah. You're waiting and hoping for them to change. I feel like that right there, that's a big one. Mm-hmm. That's a huge one. And I'll go into that in a little bit. You feel very insecure. Your significant other never takes responsibility, but anybody that's in a toxic relationship, like, typically that other person, whoever's on the other end of that, doesn't take responsibility for their actions.
I feel like that too.
They typically try to blame other people for what they've done.
But they'll never take ownership for their own actions as far as like what they've done.
What they did.
To create a toxic relationship.
Correct.
Yeah.
Then there's the relationship is borderline abusive. Obviously, we know that is to be several forms of abuse, whether it be physically, emotionally, sexually abused.
Like mentally.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot. Narcissistic abuse as well. Like there's a lot of different types of abuse in this situation.
Right.
And you find yourself always making excuses for their bad behavior. I did this so much as a kid.
Early on.
Yeah.
Kind of like just growing up into it. So,
absolutely.
Yeah. So it was almost like it was part of y'all DNA to a degree.
Yeah.
You know?
You feel like you do all the work in the relationship. A lot of times your significant other are super competitive with you. Like, so they're competing against you to make sure that they are better than you.
Tell me if you like it when I kiss on your lips. Guide you through the valley of an ocean. Make you breathe in slow motion. Breathe your mind and come explore the galaxy. Have a little taste of my gravy.
There's an endless amount of podcasts on the web that claim to be real and raw. And then you listen and realize it's the same politically correct bullshit. Show after show after show. We, on the other hand, are proud to be completely different. This is X the Script. You want real. You want raw. You want uncut conversations about relationships, sex, current events, pop culture, spicy red room confessions. If it's happening in the world, we're talking about it. And you can be sure we'll be direct about it. And we'll be having a blast doing it. Bringing the funny, bringing the sexy, bringing the loud and crazy. This is X the Script. And now your hosts, Asia and BJ.
What's good, y'all? I'm your host, Asia.
And it's your host, BJ. And welcome to
X
the Script.
Y'all.
Thank you guys for tuning back in,
Always.
for pulling back up for another episode. This one's going to be epic.
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
A conversation worth having, you know?
Yeah.
But
and to really like get some substance and be able to take something from it.
Yeah, because, you know, I feel like a lot of people experience things in life that they don't talk about, or they even might feel ashamed of for whatever reason. And I think we all have like one of those stories.
And
you
sometimes
know?
they feel like they the only ones
Yeah.
that's really dealing with it.
Yeah.
And nobody understands.
And you're not. You are not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you feel like you're the only one, but you're not the only one. So just trust and believe somebody's always going through something worse.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Sometimes it feel like you're the only one, but then when you step back and look at it, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
It's actually a lot of people
out here
dealing
going
with
through
the
some
same thing, same
Yes.
trauma.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely, y'all.
Hell yeah.
So welcome in. Happy what is today? Thursday?
Is Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes,
y'all probably
yes.
won't hear this until tomorrow. So happy Friday. If y'all hearing this on Friday, happy Friday. I hope everybody's week is going good. I hope y'all came in with a good positive attitude today. You feel good. You look great. It's Friday. Okay. Get excited. Okay. You get 2 days off after today.
When you look good, you typically feel good. And when you feel good, you look good.
Yeah.
You know?
All the time. That's right. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, but I definitely need something for this Thursday, something that's going to really like something that we can really dive into.
Yeah. I'm excited about that
that's
too.
going to really help and hopefully like affect somebody's life positively.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
How are you today?
Hey, I'm ready. I'm copacetic. You know, our internet was out today.
Yeah,
The
dang.
internet
Why they
crashed.
can't never get the internet right?
It said as soon as we got up this morning, it said
Right? We look
It
on
was
our
over.
phones and everybody in the little
the neighborhood chat.
The neighborhood chat. Everybody's
Yeah.
on. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. Same.
It sucks. I'm working from home today.
Yeah.
I saw one lady. She was like, "I'm glad I went to work today. I'm glad I went to the office, so I won't have to deal with this internet issue."
I can't believe,
know?
let me not even talk about these internet people, but dang, man, they be tripping us out
I'm trying
over
to tell you.
here. Just y'all. I don't understand how we got a city as full as we do. We're growing as fast as we are. This is one of the fastest growing cities in Texas, and they can't get the internet to work.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's just too many people. You know what it is? Again, I feel like it's just too many people. It's too many households depending on one internet provider.
That's probably what it is. No, it's they all depending on the same satellite. They should just replace the satellite, okay? I said so.
The tower, no, but they built another tower. I mean, they tried to do some things. They tried to pull out all the stops.
Well, they probably tried to cut some corners and stuff.
Add some transformers, and
No.
the transformers are not
No.
transforming.
No, they not. They not.
Right.
Okay.
At all.
I'm just saying. So
It was a guy just the other earlier. He was at the pool or passing by the pool, and he saw. I'm not gonna say the internet provider, but they saw the technician working, and he was like, "Are you the reason that the internet is out?" He was like, "Hey, it's not me. I'm
okay.
working on it. I'm trying to get it up."
I just go here.
Yeah,
That's
he's
it.
trying to get it up.
I'm just saying, y'all. Okay.
But yeah, but
I'm not gonna start on that today.
But when life pass you lemons, you just got to make lemonade.
Right. It's going to be a good episode today. Hopefully, y'all chime in. If you are new here, please be sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, tap that notification bell so you don't miss any videos from Asia and BJ.
Absolutely.
If you're listening to us on the streaming platforms, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, all your podcast streaming platforms, make sure you hit that download button. Y'all show us some love. And also, go ahead and take a moment and leave us a wonderful, kind review. I would certainly appreciate that, y'all. And make sure
because we do read them.
y'all share this video, okay? Make sure y'all share this content if y'all are enjoying it, okay? Tell a friend about a friend to another friend. Tell everybody you know, okay? We need some love and support.
Yeah.
Just saying. So today, y'all, we jumping into
Let's get into it.
yeah, let's get right into this. Okay, so we're talking about, toxic relationships. I feel like, how many toxic relationships have you come across, like, in a lifetime where you was just, like, looking back and thinking back on it where you, like, how the heck did I not, like, how was I so stupid to be into something like that? You know what I mean? Like, how did I not get out of that?
And the thing about it is, when you're in a toxic relationship, you don't even know you're in a toxic relationship.
Most times, yeah, you don't even realize it. You don't realize until it's too late.
Exactly.
Like, you don't put too much
you
time
don't
and
discover
effort.
it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Later.
Especially when you're like younger, especially if you're like in your teen years and you go through like, your boyfriend or girlfriend, you're in a toxic relationship, but you just don't know that's a toxic relationship.
Even
you think that is
friendships.
normal.
Yeah.
You thinking that is normal, but it's not.
It's not normal.
No.
But you know what's crazy is that, like, sometimes you catch yourself basically forming yourself to allow it to be normal, where it 1000% is not, but
you normalize
you
it.
normalize it. Like, that is a normal for you, even though in a sense you know that it's not right.
You feel it. You feel that it's not right.
Something is not
something
right.
in you. It's something in you that lets you know that.
Right.
you know?
Exactly.
I was going to ask you this question too. Like when you were younger, like what did you think? Did you know that it was toxic? Did you feel that it was toxic?
No, honestly, there was a lot of things going on though, like in my house that I felt like, because my mom and dad had a very toxic relationship. Literally, they were screaming and fighting and
When they were together,
cussing and bustling every single day. Like, it just felt like sometimes it was every day. And it would just be so loud, and obviously there was a lot of physical abuse that went with that, to my mom. And so we watched that a lot, like, as kids. I remember when my mom and dad told me, like, when they came and told us that they were going to be getting a divorce, and like how sad. Like, literally, we were sad, but, like, even though we had watched everything that we had been watching in between the two of them go on, as kids, we felt heartbroken that our mom and dad is not going to be together. I remember sitting in my dad's lap and I was crying, like, please don't leave. please don't go. Same with my mom. And both of them were like, no, it's done. It's over. But I just felt like the toxic environment didn't stop there. Like even after they were split up.
So even with them being split up, the toxicity, either it increased or it just continued on.
It just continued on, especially like with my sister. She ended up staying with my mom and I ended up moving in with my dad. And then my stepmom just pretty much came out of nowhere as if.
How did that make you feel though? Because I'm just trying to think about it, and I'm just trying to think of it from my perspective, just being like a young kid growing up, and I have like an older sibling, and then my parents split up. How did that feel knowing that like your older sister? It's almost like the whole family got split up, because it's like even your sister is like, you're here and your sister's there.
Yeah, there was a really small period of time where actually when my dad left, he ended up coming to get me and my sister out of school without my mom knowing it, and basically took us without her even knowing that he had unenrolled us in school. And so, we just thought, we were kids.
Wait a minute, he unenrolled y'all?
Yeah, he took us out of school. Like when they decided to split up, and he moved out, and he came and took us out of school so that we could just move with him. And we didn't know at the time that my mom didn't know that. We found out later on because she ended up calling us.
Later in the day?
Yeah, like later on after she got home from work, like she was pissed just because he didn't tell her.
Wow.
And so yeah. So we lived with my dad for a short period of time in an apartment. It seemed okay until like my stepmom started coming around, because then this lady just came out of nowhere, even though this was the same lady that I pretty much had been watching my dad go over to her house all the time.
Yeah, so he was already seeing her.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was already seeing her. We were going over to feed his dog, like to feed her dog.
Yeah. I remember you telling me something.
Yeah, and then he'd bribe me with ice cream to not say anything to my mom. So this was going on when we were still living in the house with my mom. All of this toxicity, right?
Yeah, because you brought that up.
Like I'm in the middle of all of this as a kid and not knowing, like just thinking, I'm just gonna take up for my dad, because to me, even to say that, like even still within the household, there was a lot of like manipulation. A lot of manipulations.
Possessiveness.
And I almost felt like we were pawns to both of them. Like they used us to get leverage over each other. Yeah. My dad did stuff to hurt my mom with us, and my mom was doing stuff to hurt my dad with us. I was so just kind of drowned in believing that my mom was like this really bad person. Like she was an awful person. Like just a mean mom.
And that's where that manipulation comes in at, because you have one parent, and in actuality, like you said, like both of your parents were knee deep into like a toxic relationship. So they're using you guys as, like you said, as the pawns to kind of manipulate y'all to see the other parent in a different light.
Yeah, well, I just always felt like my dad, like, I guess to just say it straight, like he turned me against my mom.
Right.
Like, and I always felt like my mom was like the hateful one. But then like at the same time in saying that, it's like I could always see the softer side in my mom, because my mom always took up for my sister, because she was, overweight coming up as a kid. Like as long as I can remember, she was overweight. And like my dad would always call her fat. And I can remember, one time, my mom was like, I'll mow the grass, because my mom used to mow the grass all the time. But my dad would say stuff like, no, she needs to get her fat ass out there and mow the grass in the heat so she could lose weight. And like it would hurt her feelings, and in a way, like in hindsight now, I feel like that also created envy between my sister and me, because she looked at me like the golden child. I was the skinny one, I was whatever she thought, right? But to me, it was like I loved her regardless, like unconditionally, like as a kid, because I saw how much that hurt her all the time, because he would do it so much. Yeah. He would do it so much, like
and that turns into like favoritism,
right? Like
because it almost makes your father feel like you're the favorite one.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with you, but there's something wrong with you. You fat. You this.
Right.
You overweight.
Exactly. And then, she'd eat, like we could be at the table together and he'd tell her she couldn't get anything else to eat, but I could. And like little stuff like that. But again, like me and my sister are 4 years apart. So she's my older sister.
Yeah.
You know, as we got older, I started seeing a lot of those same manipulation tactics in her.
That she will use.
Yeah, because she was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she'd do like it just be stupid stuff, like kid stuff, because we were kids.
Yeah. But see, that's where it starts, though.
Agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's where it
absolutely.
starts.
It really sucked, like having a sister like that, because for a long time it was like, shoot, I knew she had my back to a degree. I knew she did, because I would get into all kind of shit as a kid, running around in the apartments. I'd get into it with somebody, and then I'd come back and tell my sister, like, so-and-so is trying to fight me, and she'd be like, oh no, that's not happening, you know. So she would come, and you know, here come big bad sis. Yeah, she got my back. And I thought, like, for the longest, like literally I could probably count on one hand. I could probably just thinking, I know there was only 1 or 2 times when me and my sister really actually got physical in a fight, like
fighting each other.
Yeah, we never fought each other. We never like really like screamed at each other. Like we'd get on each other's nerves. I think
like
we'd get all on, like I'd get on her nerves, you know, but I feel like she also was kind of left to raise me sometimes, like, because it was always just me and her, or, you know, then my mom would come home. And so, you know, she had to cook something for me to eat.
She had to do it.
She had to do, you know, stuff for me, stuff that I couldn't do yet that they would make her do. And all of this just started building up, you know, like obviously like envy and hatred. And she became one like them also, ultimately, you know, over time.
Initially, yeah. She probably took on that characteristic.
Yeah.
And here's one thing too about, you know, like the dynamic in a relationship that's toxic with a sibling.
Mm-hmm.
Toxic sibling relationships can result if parents are unavailable, depressed, aggressive, narcissistic, or controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Specific toxic sibling relationships can result if parents are unavailable. When parents do not set boundaries or manage the siblings' relationship healthily, these dynamics can become polarizing and increasingly detrimental.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that right there.
So a lot of it kind of has to do with that, as far as like maybe your parents being absent in regards to like how they managed, you know, you and your sister's relationship with each other. It's like it was almost like they didn't manage it at all.
Right. No.
You know?
No, they didn't.
Yeah, because they can't even manage their own relationships with each other. So it's like it just it's like a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it's almost like y'all left to kind of like fend for yourselves, as far as like emotionally, spiritually,
right.
As far as like almost like trying to learn how to have a relationship with each other on your own, because nobody's showing you how to have a relationship.
Right.
They're actually showing you how to have a relationship, but they're showing they're showing a toxic one.
Right.
Right.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Damn. You know what, like what hurts most about stuff like that is when you realize like so much more like further down the line in life, where it's like, I wish I could go back and know those things before like life happened. Because
probably every last one of us feel like that, as far as like if I had known before.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I feel like I would have changed a lot of things. I would have did a lot of things differently. Like I would have listened more. Like even though my mom would be saying everything that she was saying about my dad, and I would get so mad at her for it, because I knew she was right.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to say that she was right because I was pretty much groomed to just take up for him and cover for him and basically make up the excuses for his bad behavior.
Exactly, yeah.
Because of everything that was happening like early on. Things that I was exposed to, stuff I shouldn't have seen, things I shouldn't have experienced as a kid, like all of those things. And until I became an adult, I feel like I protected that, because more so I just felt like I was so ashamed by it. It took for me to grow up and get therapy and meet somebody that was completely normal for me to realize how bad it really was, because then it carried on. Like even to say that, it was like my mom would, because then like just how I felt about her, I feel like she always felt the same way about me, like in terms of like the resentment. Like my mom, it was just a lot of
just like back and forth. You know, even like triangulation tactics. And
that's
things
probably
like that.
The best way. A lot of that.
Putting each other up against each other, when in actuality we should be trying to find a way, even though we don't agree, even though we're not going to be together, like still try to find a way to like love each other, forgive, and really try to like I just feel like in your situation, like your parents didn't put y'all first. It's
No.
like they put themselves before y'all, you know?
I agree. I think that too.
Yeah.
I do think that.
And I have a lot of friends too that kind of like talk about the same type of background, you know, growing up in toxic relationships and having people in their family that are toxic. And they say the same thing too, that they don't really understand it until they grow up and sometimes have their own relationship with their own family. And then they see that, you know, the relationships that they built within their own family as far as, you know, growing up, having their own household.
Yeah, but that's when you start realizing how fucked up your mentality really is.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And so it takes so long, it takes so many decades to really like understand it. And like you said, if you don't, you know, seek help, treatment, therapy,
you'll never know.
Or just like do your own self-therapy and really read and try to understand what's going on inside your head and why you tick the way that you tick.
Yeah.
You know, and it takes so long before you like realize it. But then when you finally realize it and discover it, it's just like, damn, like
how did I not know? Like how did I not see this?
I felt it. It's like your mind's telling you one thing, but your body's telling you something else.
Yeah.
It's like you feel it inside, but it's just like you're going against the gravity.
Yeah, you're going against like what you feel is right and what you know is right.
Exactly,
you know,
because you have people right in front of you that's supposed to love you and supposed to guide you in the right direction, but they're
grooming you.
They're doing the difference. They're doing the different
to teach you that this is normal, that this is the way it is. This is the way it's supposed to be. This is what is okay, and it's not. Signs of, you know, unhealthy relationships is dependence, clocking, violence, control, disrespect, harassment,
a lot of that,
dishonesty, intimidation, and hostility. All of which I feel like were all things like because
to some degree.
Yeah, because if there were ever a time where I felt like I could just stand up and say something like, stop, like you shouldn't be doing this, or you shouldn't be doing this, you know, like, and more so it's just like this authoritative figure is exactly that. And you're intimidated by it. Mm-hmm. They're aggressive, you know, they're controlling, they're manipulating. You feel like you need them. You know, that's another thing, is that they make you feel like you need them.
Dependence.
Yeah, because they disarm you of anything that you feel like you have control of or control over. Say, for instance, like if there's a job that you're interested in and you the only thing you need for this job is your own computer. And obviously, like if you're in the same household, you more than likely have the means to get this laptop for somebody. But because you don't want them to do better than you won't do it. You won't buy it. You're not going to even help them. You're not going to assist them. You're not going to offer any assistance. You're going to make them figure it out on their own.
So it's like you said, at the end game is
the control.
It's the control and make you dependent upon them.
Yeah, because
and just taking away your whole security.
Right. Because once you figure out, you know, once you start making your money from your job, then you can start doing things on your own and taking care of things by yourself without being dependent on them. Mm-hmm. And they don't want you to have that.
Right.
You know, so by
because
any means
control.
Necessary. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I feel like control is a powerful thing. Mm-hmm. Fear is a powerful thing.
And I feel like that's what someone who's narcissistic, that's their fear, is losing the control, losing that power grip.
Right.
You know, so they'll do any and everything to keep that, you know.
And it's always what's crazy about it, especially when you go into, you know, a narcissistic type of abuse. And a lot of people, oh man, that's a whole nother lane that we'd have to go down in terms of narcissistic abuse. Like, because
it's a part of it.
It is that is a big part of it. And sometimes I don't know if like toxic relationships really have anything to do with narcissism in itself, but I feel like you would see a lot of those traits, like narcissistic traits, in somebody that would be in a toxic relationship because the other part of that is the trauma bonding. You know, that you're almost addicted to this. Mm-hmm. Like you can't find yourself out of it. That's all you know.
Yeah, that's all you know. It's almost like if you get into a relationship with somebody and that relationship is kind of like normalized as far as like there is no hostility, where there is no violence, where there is no controlling, just dealing with someone that's kind of level-headed, that kind of has their head on straight.
Yeah.
And someone who comes from a toxic relationship background, sometimes they'll find ways to make that relationship toxic.
Yeah.
Because as far as what they've been groomed
That's
to
how
know,
they-
and
yeah.
and that belief system that they have inside of them at the moment,
It's how they learn how to move,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Like,
So someone who's very, very toxic, growing up in a toxic relationship, and then someone who's pretty much grew up in like a stable household, it's almost like all in water.
right.
It can be.
Yeah,
can be.
because I feel like that was our struggle at the very beginning, like
Yeah.
of our relationship too, was
Yeah.
that because I feel like I demonstrated some of those things, and you, on the other hand, were completely like different, just completely different. Like, and that's why I say, y'all have heard me say multiple times, like how BJ kind of started opening my eyes to a lot of things that I thought was like normal, things that I thought was supposed to go on. Even going back to the love languages and stuff like that, like,
Right.
buying my way in, so to speak, and that wasn't how it was gonna work with us. Like, that's not how, like, you moved, you weren't into that kind of stuff. Like, and so for me, it was like, let me give so that I don't, make anybody upset. And that was another thing that I struggled with also, just even into my adulthood. I felt like I had a hard time articulating how I felt, like my feelings about things. Like if I had a problem with something, like I wouldn't say like it was hard for me to speak out. Like somebody was not allowing me to speak. It was just hard for me to
And you know why?
say how I felt, because
It is,
the thing is that if you start doing that, like I always feel like for me, I felt like if I said something, or if I spoke out, like I would get a very bad reaction to it. So it was like being silent was just better than not saying anything at all, or speaking up, because like it was going to cause problems.
And that's the part of it too. Usually the person that's on the negative end of the toxic relationship, that's what happens as far as like your emotions. It's almost like your emotions and your thoughts, it gets suppressed, and it's it's almost like you suppress them on your own, because you've been so, the natural thing is to suppress your own feelings and thoughts, because from an early age, your emotions, your feelings, what you think was already, that wasn't a thing. Like nobody cared. It was invalidated. Yeah.
It's almost like I wasn't allowed to be like to feel what I felt. Like
a lot of people deal with that. Yeah.
Even through, like fuck it, sexual abuse, things that were taking place, like watching physical abuse, watching dishonesty and disloyalty take place, like right in front of my face.
And you looking at it, and at a young age,
it's wrong.
You know it. Yeah,
you
that's
know
the
it's
biggest
wrong.
thing.
Like
Yeah.
I know I should not be touched this way. I know that what my mom,
you shouldn't be saying this,
right?
Yeah.
I know you shouldn't be,
And it's almost like what they're saying, going back and forth. It's like, hold on, that didn't happen. They didn't. That's not even that sounds like a lie.
But the thing is that the whole problem around it is because it creates so much like discomfort in even discussing it or bringing it up. Like I said, it's like a shame. You're ashamed of it. You are embarrassed by it. Like I feel like more than anything, I was embarrassed by it because I knew it was wrong. I felt like my mom knew it was wrong, but I still was stupid enough, like as a kid, to just say that it was okay because daddy's doing it. And then he would make me feel like it was okay, that it's okay that you come in here and get in the middle of the bed and I spoon you and do these things, like certain, and in a way, like I would just, still I would lay there and feel weird as a kid, like really weird by what I was feeling, what was happening,
right.
like this whole position situation and and I wouldn't say anything. And my mom would get so mad, and I would just get so mad at her for saying something and then not say anything at all, knowing that it was wrong.
Wow, yeah.
Like as an adult, like I said, it was almost like I had to sit with those thoughts and
yeah, and again, like you said, because there's nobody really helping you with that.
Right.
Nobody's helping you emotionally deal with those types of things. So it's
but
almost
who
like,
was I gonna tell?
yeah,
my sister didn't care.
yeah.
My mom would get mad if she raised her voice or said something, like then there was a fight. Then we'd see a whole brawl break out, so she didn't
Literally
say
a
anything.
brawl.
Yeah. So it just got to a point where I just didn't say anything, even though like I knew, like there were even situations where that would happen, and I would be like, "Ooh, if Mama come in here and see this,
Right.
and see what you doing to me, like you're gonna get in trouble." Like that would be my thought. I still wouldn't say anything, you know. And that went on for years, like until I damn near, like until shit.
Yeah. And again, like even if everything that you're telling me, like that shit just, you know how I am about it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm very angry over like hearing those types of things. Because,
but the thing is like now that I say something about it,
Yeah.
like I feel like people look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why wouldn't you say anything? Because he wasn't the only one, and like he wasn't the only one in the family that was doing it. But now it's like that I say anything or I speak up about it, like because I've never said anything or I never spoke up or I never, like, if anything, everybody always probably saw me as taking up for him, and it's just like, no. Like I have found a different side of me in terms of like speaking peace and speaking my part and standing on what it is that happened to me. And I'm not afraid and I'm not ashamed like I used to be.
And a lot of that has to deal with like the healing process and everything that you've kind of been going through. You know, the later part of your life. You know?
Let me read this to you about trauma bonding, because I feel like a lot of that had to do with trauma bonding, and I didn't realize that until later on, like going into therapy sessions and stuff like that. Trauma bonding is sociological response to abuse. It occurs when the abused person forms a connection or relationship with the person who abuses them. The person experiencing abuse may develop sympathy for the abusive person, which becomes reinforced by cycles of abuse followed by remorse. Like I feel like I just held on to it for so long. Like now I feel bad that I waited and I didn't speak up and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to make him look bad. I didn't want to make anybody look bad, and I didn't want to make anybody mad. I didn't want to make any riffs about it. I didn't want my mom to be the "I told you so." Like I didn't want to hear anything about it. And nonetheless, like, you know, like I said, it's just like you start making these excuses for what they have done to you. And then when you come to the realization of what actually has happened, it's just like I just lived by so much trauma for a very long time. Like, and not knowing how to deal with it or to speak about it or to work through those thoughts, because I've never had an opportunity to do that.
And again, like I said before, like would you not have an opportunity to really like be able to process it in the way that you needed to process, because like you said, it was almost like you was abandoned emotionally. Like there was nobody to really like pick up those pieces to really like see what was going on. It's like if somebody, I'm sure they knew what was going on, but the fact that they're not doing anything about it to like really help you and guide you through something like that, because you're placed into like a situation that's like way beyond your years, way beyond your understanding and comprehension. And that's where the parenting comes in, that so that you can comprehend it, so you can understand it, so that you can deal with it emotionally and then feel okay. Your thoughts and your emotions aren't suppressed, where you can like let it out and you know, let it out in a constructive way. Letting it out, sometimes you let it out in anger, so you don't even know how to like let it out in the right way.
That probably more than anything. You're absolutely right. That probably more than anything, especially and then the worst part of it is people not believing you. Like why would I get up here and say something like that if that's not what happened, especially about my own people? You know, like if anybody that knows me knows my loyalty. Like they know that I wouldn't just be dragging him through the dirt. I wouldn't, like, if you tell me something in privacy, that kind of thing, like I'm gonna hold on to it.
As far as that, know? I know that for a fact.
And I feel like sometimes
your loyalty is solid.
Yeah, like I just feel like it just really took control over who I was and my personality. And you know, going back to like early on what I was saying, you know, in some other episodes, that it just seems like every time I would try to get away from this, I kept being pulled back in. Right. You know,
and we all know, you know, we know the whole story and everything as far as everything that's happened, and we would even talk about it as far as like, you know, when you would like kind of like separate yourself, when you would really like take a step back from all of them.
Even going as far as back, like I ran away from home when I was 16 years old because I had got so fed up with it. I was tired of being abused. I was tired of being emotionally abused, mentally abused, physically abused. The toxicity was a lot of triangulation. It just seems like the harder I tried to be the good child, the worse it got for me. Mm-hmm. That's just all a part of like just being in a toxic relationship.
Because it has nothing to do with you. You know, at the end of the day, it's like you could do everything that you can in your power to do your best, but at the end of the day, it's never going to be enough because it's not even about that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I even to say that, like, even to keep it more simple, like we would get report cards. We'd get A's and B's, mostly A's, maybe 2 B's, like high B's, you know, bring home a report card. I'd still get my ass beat every time because I had an X for talking. Mm-hmm. You know, like.
And that just lets you know as far as like the dysfunction, as far as just the control, because who would do that? Especially, like I said, you're doing the important things in life, things that you're supposed to do, but someone still finds something wrong.
No matter what. Like,
no matter what.
You find yourself walking on eggshells.
I got to find something wrong.
Right.
Through all of this good that's going on. So that lets you know as far as like the people that you grew up with, as far as like their background and where they come from, because it stems from something.
Right.
Whether they have, whether they have a narcissistic personality, or whether they're trauma bonding, or, you know, they're just culprits of like toxic relationships. Like it comes from somewhere and it stems from something else. And I've heard somebody else talk about children or like growing up and like trying to heal from your own childhood. Yeah. And it's like, you know, how can you heal from your own childhood when you're trying to heal from your parents' childhood?
Right.
So it's almost like their childhood is what's happened to them. They're creating that in your childhood. So it's like it's a lose-lose if nobody like changes that, if nobody like corrects it.
Well, what even sucks more is like when you do try to find your quote unquote like independence, you know, you start trying to move up in life and you do things, and it got so bad for me that I literally went years like where I would come home from school and I would go in my room and I would sit in my room and I wouldn't say anything. Like I'd just sit there. I wouldn't come out until it was time for me to go to school the next day. Like at first I used to go like and sit down at the kitchen table and eat dinner because, you know, they'd cook for everybody, like the 3 of us, my stepmom, my dad, and me. But it was like every time I sat at the table, then it was like, well, you need, you know, what it was like I would get in trouble for something.
Just like nitpicking.
Something. And it was like, all I want to do is just sit at the table and eat in peace. Like, I could never get up off the table and there not be a problem. Like, how do we go from coming to just wanting to eat some food to now I got to bring home all my books from school, and then I walk from school, and this is when you carrying books, like actual them thick ass books.
Right.
6 books in your backpack, and you walking 1.5 miles from school every day with 50 pounds on your back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And again, it just goes to show you as far as like the mindset is just toxic, and at the end of the day, it's destructive.
Yeah. Yeah. But to the point where it's like, shit, well, every time I say something, I'm in trouble. Every time I do something, I'm in trouble. Every time if I go to my friend's house and I come back, or if my friend would come over and she didn't say anything, like she wouldn't speak or she'd not say hi, then, you know, then I was accused of something. You over there talking bad about us. And I'm like, well, you better fucking believe it. Mm-hmm. Who else do I have to talk to? Because I don't have an option to talk to y'all about anything, because every time I bring it up or I say something about how I feel, it's a problem.
And you just brought something else up that was a great point in regards to toxic relationships with like a mother and a father.
Yeah.
It points to them being self-centered. They don't think about your needs or feelings. They're emotionally loose cannons. They overreact or create drama. They overshare. They share improper info with you, like details about their intimate lives. They use you as their main source of emotional support. They seek control. They might use guilt and money to get you to do what they want you to do. So like you said, getting in trouble, that's that guilt part, to keep you feeling guilty, like you're always doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And then they're harshly critical. Nothing you do is ever good enough. They don't respect your good traits or achievements. So everything that you're saying right now is completely align with some of these things that are like the characteristics of like a toxic relationship.
Yeah, like even to the point, dang, babe, like even to the point where, coming home every day from school and then you sit in your room and then obviously you hungry because at some point I was just like, fuck going to the kitchen table. I'm tired of getting in trouble every time I sit down, like I don't even want to eat with y'all, So
that's how bad it is.
Yeah. So I would go from that to then I would come home and I'm not saying anything and I don't come out the room. And it got to a point where I literally just ran away from home. And I'll tell you what led up to that. I had people coming over to throw food over the backyard fence so that I could eat during the summertime sometimes, like a dog going to go out to fetch food because I knew I couldn't eat at home. I guess they would say I could, but I couldn't. I can remember being in my room. It was a Sunday. My dad was gone. He went to go play baseball. He had a baseball game or some shit out of town or something. So I was there with my stepmom. Had the TV on, and my stepmom comes in and she said something. I can't even remember this damn story, but to sum it up, okay, she ended up like yanking my sheets off my bed and calling me a bitch, and I might have said something to her. Like, this was the first time I felt like I actually stood up to her, right? Like literally the very first time I actually said something back to her, like where like this had been going on, it's just people poking the bear, and I finally just said. She said something like, you're a bitch.
You finally just imploded.
Yeah. And I said something back. Like, I'm like, no, you're a bitch. Like, I said something back. It was something like that. Right. And she's like, well, I'll make sure your dad knows when he gets back how you feel, so on and so forth. So my dad comes back because it was a tournament. And then Monday, my dad comes back like late Sunday night or something. So I was already in the bed. I remember hearing him come in from coming out of town from the baseball game. So nothing happened that night, but then I went to school that next morning. I got up, came home like normal off the bus, and then he comes home from work. And he's standing downstairs at the bottom of the stairs. You have something to say? Like he never asked me what happened, nothing. He didn't ask no questions. I come downstairs, he yanks me by my fucking hair, pulls me off the stairs and starts beating my ass to no end. I'm to the point where he beat me so long, I literally couldn't even feel it anymore. Balled up in a ball. Like I remember just crawling up the stairs, like crying my fucking eyes out because my skin is whelped up. I'm half bleeding. It was just horrific. And I just remember like that night, they went out to a play, like nothing happened. They left me there. Like nobody said anything. Nobody cared if I was okay. Like probably the worst ass whooping I had ever gotten. Out of all the ass whoopings I had ever gotten, that probably was the worst one. And I just remember feeling so defeated, like so hurt, like so many emotions. Like I'm like, you didn't even hear my side of the story when she came up here messing with me. Like I was in my room. That I probably was in this room by the pattern that I live by. Right. I don't fuck with y'all. You know, he never asks questions, and I just remember.
But the not asking questions just goes right along the lines of like not caring about your emotional.
Right. That's that's exactly how I felt.
Any of that.
I mean, and that was also the same night. Like I felt like I wanted to take myself out. I remember doing exactly that. Actually, trying to end my life that night because I was so done. I just felt like there was nobody. Like my sister kept things going on. Like she would call over to the house and tell my stepmom something that I said that I didn't say, but then I'd be in trouble. And it was like I would call my sister.
You would tell me that all the time.
To tell my sister how I was feeling. Like the one person I felt like I could trust, she was just turning it all back around on me and telling my stepmom what I said about what I said and how I felt. And
wow, and it's just like those are all the signs of just like toxicity, and then triangulation, because you're it's like y'all all in this triangle, but someone's taking some information that you told them, and then they twist it and turn it into a completely different thing, and pretty much pretty much turn your truth into a lie. Just you know, and
almost
again,
like it was fun. Like it was fun for her to watch like all of this go on.
Yeah, but
like,
the thing about it is that it's not. It's just that's what is normalized in your household to do.
well, I'm saying it was fun for my sister because I would call her and tell her what they were doing and how they were acting.
Right.
You know, your sister, you know, thinking that you're telling somebody in confidence, like, I haven't eaten in 3 days and I'm hungry and I'm this and that. And they would, you know, they put the food up before I could even go get a piece of bread or so on and so forth. And it was like, I'm telling her this. She's telling my stepmom. She's mad. Then I didn't know what was happening. And then my sister's playing stupid. Like she don't know what's going on. And I'm continuously to tell her stuff. So it just seemed like there was just a lot going on, you know? And I just remember just waking up one day. I was like, you know what? I'm tired. Like I'm tired. When I woke up that next morning.
That's the day you left.
That is the day. No, I went to school that next morning, but I was so out of it because I had took so much shit trying to kill myself. And some kind of way, miraculously, I woke up and I was so mad that I was awake and I went to school. And I remember the bus pulling up, like, and I was laid out sleep on the sidewalk because I hadn't been to sleep. Like my body was so hurt, like I was aching, you know. I got on the bus. I was asleep all day through school. And then like that next day, I was like, I'm done. I'm done. Like, I'm tired of dealing with these people. I can't tell anybody anything. I can't talk to anybody about anything. Like nobody wants to hear me. Anytime I would stand up for myself, like the one time that I did stand up for myself, I got my ass beat for it. Obviously my mom didn't, you know, she didn't care. Like she wasn't living in it, you know, but I didn't want to live over there with my sister because I knew what she was doing, you know, and I knew what type of person that she was. So my mom seemed like she didn't even care.
And then at that point, like as far as your relationship with your sister is almost pretty much non-existent because now y'all competing. Y'all don't even know what y'all competing for.
Yeah.
She's jealous, envious. And the part about it that I don't understand and never will understand is like, why are y'all siblings, but y'all living in two different households? Like that should have never, ever been. That should have never, ever happened.
I didn't feel like I was safe anywhere. Like if I came over there to my mom's house, then I would go back home and then I'd have to hear about something that I said or something. And mind you, we're talking like regardless of what you think or how I feel, what the fuck I said, I was a kid, you know, and I was dealt with like an adult. Like I was just nailed to the cross for everything. Like for everything, you know. All of that to say, I ended up running away to another abuser who did the same thing to me. And then I couldn't break myself free from him. You know, even while I was gone, I remember calling my sister. I called my sister to tell her I was okay. And I had been gone for like a month and a half. And I just called her from this payphone. And I was like, hey, I'm just wanting to tell you I'm okay. Just let them know I'm okay, you know. And she said, well, they not looking for you. Like, nobody cares that you were even gone. Come to find out. You know,
I remember that.
And which was not the truth.
Find out, right, exactly. They were looking for you.
They were looking for me the whole time, you know, looking for me. And she said that. And I thought the whole time, like, you know, I'm like, damn, they not looking for me? Like, they don't even care? She's like, no, nobody cares. Nobody's even looking for you. Like, so whatever she said, it was along those lines.
And that shit right there is so crazy. It's just so devilish and devious for a sibling to do that to their other sibling. When you told me that back then, like that completely like just blew my mind. I literally was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like that your family is that toxic. And for y'all to be that young and already doing those types of things to each other,
right?
That just shows you like the level of how toxic your parents were.
But I never did that to her.
Right.
I never did that to her.
Yeah.
You know, I never did that. But
the thing about it is that she wanted to do it so much to you to where you start doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's not normal for you to be normal. It's not normal for you not to lie on her. It's not normal for you to be envious of her. It's not normal for you to not be jealous of her. Like those things aren't normal. And for, like I said, with her being older, growing up in more of that toxic relationship and seeing it, it's like it's probably more ingrained in her than you. Other than that, you were just touched by the Spirit of God. I mean, other than that, if it wasn't that, then I mean, you probably would have fallen in line with how everybody else is treating each other and the relationship as far as just creating drama and being a victim of trauma.
Yeah, but over time, it was like as I obviously started figuring things out and realizing the type of people that I was dealing with, like I never really figured it out. Like I just was always trying to understand, like why, why.
And another part of that goes with in toxic relationships, especially when it comes to like siblings, the golden child effect. In the golden child and the black sheep dynamic, one child is favored over the others. The black sheep is the scapegoat of the family. So that's kind of like the dynamic that you was growing up in is like the golden child, the black sheep kind of dynamic throughout your life,
Yeah, but it seems like that switched up. Like 1 minute it was her, then it was me, then it like I guess.
But it's still that same type of behavior where you're favoring one child more than the other, and then something happens, and then they switch up, and now they favoring the other over the other, and it's just a constant tug of war.
Forth.
It's just a constant back and forth, like tug of war.
Yeah.
And again, it just goes back to when you like really like sit down and go through some therapy or really like come to a realization.
Yeah.
Or like a discovery, and you really start finding out that it's like, damn, like my mom, my dad, they were fucked up. They did some fucked up stuff to me, but it's like, what about their parents? Like, where did they learn this
how to do that?
To treat me like this?
Yeah.
Their own flesh and blood. And it's just crazy that like, I am you, but it's almost like they hate themselves because it's like, how can you treat your own flesh and blood that is you? How could you treat them hatefully if you don't internally hate your own self?
Yeah, well, I mean, I get a lot of people like from the outside looking in are like, I could never like not talk to my mom for more than a day, or I could never not talk to my dad, or I talk to my sister literally every day, 3 times a day, like so on and so forth. And it's just like, I beg to differ because I feel like I was one to keep putting myself in situations where it's like, that is my sister. I should talk to her regardless of what she did. Yeah. That is
and
my dad.
And I would tell you that too, like,
right.
And then I'll be in your ear.
But that's
like,
the guilt, though.
Yeah.
That was more of the guilt in me. Like, that's my family. Like, I can't not talk to them, like, regardless of what they've done. Yeah. But then it was like, as soon as, even when I got to the point of moving out, going into the military, like, was another way to get out, moving away and leaving in that situation. And I still felt like the power of control was over me. Yeah. I couldn't get away from it. More of the guilt was just, that is my family. That is my family, and you would always, even you, when you came into the picture, and you would be like, why do you keep letting them do this or this and that and this and that? Or,
and I would tell you too, like, y'all, out of everything Asia done told y'all already, like, I would tell you, like, if my sister ever did something like that and like betrayed me and showed that level of disloyalty, like, there's no way I couldn't even be in the same room with you. Like, I couldn't even look you in the face. I couldn't even look you in the eyes because of it.
But what was crazy is, like, we'd get around them, like, as I grew up and stuff, and then I'd come around and then we'd get around them and they'd act like they hadn't done anything. It was almost like, let's just pretend that we just didn't do something real shady and fucked up and foul, and everybody smile and act like, going back to my fake comment, and act like everything is okay. And I would just go along with it because it was easier for me to just go along with it than it was for me to go in there and be like, why did you do this? Why do you keep on doing this? Yeah. Why did you say this? And that's not what I said. Yeah. Why do you keep, so on and so forth. Hence the reason why I never said anything is because you want to use the intimidation, the manipulation, the control, your power, your intelligence, your authority to keep a wrap on everything. Yeah. So
to continue to suppress you.
Of my thoughts and opinions, and really speaking out about things that were taking place. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why we don't have a conversation, like we don't have a relationship, why I don't talk to my family. Like, this stuff, like, I haven't even touched the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and how long has it been?
We're going on 5 years, 5 or 6 years now.
Yeah, it just goes to show you, like, the level of the toxicity, everything that we're talking about in this podcast. And then it shows you how narcissistic people can think, knowing that they've done wrong, knowing that they've been doing wrong for a long time, and never, ever confessing to it, never ever like coming to the realization or really apologizing and being contrite about it.
They've never apologized.
And I don't even think that someone like that could even be contrite and apologizing. It would just be another manipulation tactic to try to get over on you.
Right.
They don't even have it in them to be contrite, to be honest, truly honest,
and to everybody else. And honestly,
and
it's
truly
like
apologetic.
people would come around and we'd have company come over to the house, and then I'd have to pretend like we were all happy and everything was great and smile and put on a front, to make them look good. And all along, it's like I am probably in the most miserable, depressed state. Like I remember even writing it down in my journal, like how sad I felt and how much I hated my life. And they found it. Mm-hmm. I remember them finding.
I remember you telling me that, and they again
lost their
thing.
shit.
Yeah,
because I had wrote something like that down.
Yeah, and so and again, that's just another example of nobody wanting to deal with the elephant in the room. Nobody wanting to really deal with what's really going on, because like you said, it's just like when you're caught and you're stuck into a situation where someone continues to want to control and to manipulate and to be possessive. They're not even attempting. You're the pawn on the chessboard. You can be used for whatever you need to be used for, and then when they're done with you, they're done with you.
Seems like the further away that I started to pull myself away from them, like where I stopped giving them that power, and I started making decisions on my own, and I started standing up for myself and really kind of standing against things that they wanted me to do that I wasn't willing to do. And it was still like the only way that you could probably get to me at this point is through my kids. And that's
a story for another day.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you lost control over me, you had to figure out a way to keep a grip. You had to figure out a way to hold on.
And even in the midst of that, like when you would talk about like kind of like breaking yourself free from it, or breaking yourself free from a toxic relationship with with relatives, with family.
Yeah,
it's like that month or two that you wouldn't speak to them. It's like that's the only time that you found peace. That's the only time that you found solace, or anything that was like close to normal.
That was what was crazy. That I felt like we were just so free, and we just didn't have a care in the world. Like we were happy. There was no stress. Like we weren't arguing and fighting. Like I felt like that a lot of the times, and then. Shit, I remember even with our wedding, going all the way to that, how that even transpired. Like making a call to your mom, trying to tell your mom, like not to marry me, and Asia's trouble, and and whatever else was said in that phone call. But then when the wedding day came, everything that was pulled, even on our wedding day. Yeah.
And again, y'all, that just goes to show you like. Toxic people, they'll try to follow you.
They tried it on our wedding day.
Yeah,
they really fucking tried it
to try to figure to try to bring some type of drama.
The baby shower that we had. It was just one thing after the next, and it was like the more your family did, the more they hated them. The more you kind of stepped in and stepped up, the more they hated you, and it was like.
It's like you don't even understand. It's almost like why? Like,
I still can't understand it. I don't understand why.
And there's no answer for it. I mean, there's an answer for it. We're talking about it and we're breaking it down into like all of these categories and subcategories of toxic relationships and toxic people to actually comprehend it at the age you were, in that time period. It does boggle your mind, because it's like you can't really wrap your mind around it to the why. And I have to tell you, at some point in time, as far as like the why, sometimes it's not even meant for you to understand, and you will have like these moments where you will be like, feeling like it's your fault, or feeling like
I always felt
why?
like it was my fault.
Exactly.
Though I was always made to feel like I was the reason for it all. Like,
and you would always be looking for the whys and the who, the what, the when, the where, the why. And I would tell you, it's like you can't even worry about that stuff anymore. It's like you got to separate yourself from it, and you have to be able to understand that it's not even you. And when you start understanding that everything that's going on around me, this big whirlwind, this thunderstorm, it's not even you. And the more you try to figure out why and what makes them tick and why they do this, it'll continue to make you go in a downward spiral and be depressed and be hurt and and to always think that to think that it's you when it's not even you. It's not even you. It's that person and whatever they have going on, whatever drama or trauma they got going on in their life, whatever hateful attitude that they really have towards themselves, they're projecting it on you. And it's like, once you separate yourself from that situation and like completely get out of it, then eventually you did. But then you start realizing like, damn, it ain't even me.
Like,
it's not even me.
Oh, but I'm sure, then of course, then there's everything else that comes with it, the, dragging your name and
that's just a part of the tactics that people like toxic people will continue to try to do to try to drag you down. And it's like, after a while, it's just like, you just got to let them be who they are, and you got to be okay in yourself and your skin to be like, damn, like.
Yeah. But, and on top of that, like, I have learned now, like as an adult, like it is not my responsibility to make that relationship right. It's not my responsibility to try to do everything I can and fold over backwards to make you happy.
To appease others.
Like, it's not my fault that I'm here. Like, it's not my fault. Like, and I feel like I've learned that it's not my fault that we don't have a relationship. Like, it is your fault. It is your responsibility to keep this relationship. It was your responsibility to make all of this happen. And you're responsible for how this outcome has played out the way that it has. Like,
especially like when you talk about like the patriarch or the matriarchs of the family, like the people that's ahead of the family, and people that was that have normal families, that have like a normal dynamic. It's almost like you're going to take on the characteristics of the people at the top, as far as like how my grandmother and the grandfather acted, or the way that your mother and your father act, or how they treat you, and you take on their characteristics. And it's almost like, with them being the head of the family, it's like you're looking at them to be the ones that's truly responsible for how everybody acts and the whole dynamic of the family. So when you have people at the top that's not even concerned, that don't even have the skill set to be able to like lead a family into like a normal life, to where they really like love each other, and at the end of the day where y'all together and y'all got each other's back and y'all loyal, like they don't even know how to do that. So it's almost like, why would you expect a child to be able to do it if you can't?
Right. Damn. This episode, like, we kind of went down a rabbit hole with this. I don't think that
we went down a rabbit hole. I think we're just telling our own life experience, and to do like an hour podcast, we can't even put 20 years into this podcast.
Into 1 hour, because the level of toxicity, like, even if I kept going with stories, like, they almost sound unbelievable. Like I said this before on our lives. I'm like, I feel like if I sat and actually told y'all, like, story for story, situation for situation, you almost would be like, what damn story? Who lives like that? Like,
and a lot of people can attest to that too, as far as like, if I told you everything that's happened in my life, like I literally could write a book, and it could be a 12 or 13 chapter book.
Yeah, but this is my truth. This is what I stand on, and at this point, it's not about trying to, put anybody out there, or I'm saying it for what it is. And when you start being honest with yourself and how you really feel about things, because you have suppressed it in so long, especially being in toxic relationships, you have to realize who you've been protecting and who you've been against this entire time. And that person, once you come to the realization, is going to be yourself, because you put yourself behind everything. You didn't even have self-care for yourself. You never really analyzed your own thoughts. You really didn't even accept your own feelings. You didn't, hell. And at this point, like, however long it's been, depending on how long this has gone on for you, you probably don't even realize how bad this is for yourself until you're actually able to walk away from it. But the hardest part is to leave. The hardest part is walking away. The hardest part is being honest with yourself and how you feel, and really accepting that what you know is wrong is wrong. And
then that's when you can actually walk away from it.
Yeah.
When you've actually accepted it for what it is.
My thing is this: if you are planning on trying to get out of a toxic relationship and you're in a toxic relationship, start planning now for your future, for you to walk away and leave. When the time comes for you to just say, it's time for me to go, today is my last day, I'm going no matter what, you have what you need. You've put aside what you need to do that, at least for you to get help on to the next thing.
Because the most important thing
that's the
too,
struggle.
the most important thing too as well is really like trying to get to that point where you can heal from it too.
Absolutely.
Because I feel like the healing process through maybe a lifelong of toxic relationships, whether it's with a partner or whether it's with family, that part potentially could take longer than how long you've been in that toxic relationship. Yep. So also getting out of that toxic relationship, but also figuring out and finding ways to actually like heal through it and go through that healing process.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that healing process is gonna be even more hurtful. And then also going through like a phase of where you feel almost regretful and resentful towards yourself because you allowed yourself to be in that situation for so long. And you knew that it was wrong for you to be there.
And that's the part that sucks the most is when you really start realizing that part. Like, I feel like for me, like the realization, and once I actually started that healing process, once I walked away, because I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about them. I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to call them. Like, definitely after I made the decision that was it, you know, like I wanted to call, I wanted to check on them. I wanted to send something to just say hi. Like I wanted to so bad. And it took everything in me not to do it. But once I figured out, like I had the strength, I had the power, like I'm going to pull myself together and hold my head up because this is not because of me. Take your power back. Take your power back. Absolutely. Like stop giving them that control. Stop allowing them to make you weak-minded, to make you feel like you're less than or that you're not good enough or that you'll never be enough. Like pull your self-esteem together. Pull every ounce of strength that you have in your soul to find your way out of this, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the crazy part of it is that you really won't realize how bad it really was until you're gone.
Yep.
And then once you realize that you had the strength to do that, you had the power to do that, like the sky is the dang on limit. I promise you, I have never felt freedom the way that I have since then. And I don't say that lightly, because I'm talking about my family. So I can only imagine like a significant other, you know, kids are involved with that significant other, family members, cousins, brothers and sisters, friendships that you've had for a lifetime where you've felt the same things, like these same feelings, you know, and how hard it is like to let go. Like that part. And if you're somebody who has a heart and you have a soul and you have empathy and you feel different, you see different, you talk different, you walk different, everything changes when you walk away from a situation like that, because you don't even realize how amazing you are as a person until you're gone.
Absolutely. That's
when you'll figure it out. You do have the power, and it is your decision. And sometimes it's not easy. I do get it. I get it. Trust me, I do. Because a lot of the times, money is what makes you hold on.
Sometimes
money is what got you into the situation, more than likely, for you to be in a situation. Money has a lot to do with it in terms of power and control.
As far as you giving your power and control to somebody.
I mean, that's not all of it, but it has a lot to do with it.
For some,
Yeah. So ladies, gentlemen, brothers, sisters, children, anybody that's listening to this, if there's nothing else you get out of this, save yourself, because they will not do it for you. And you do not need them to live a better life. Okay? Like, that is the one thing I will say in all of that. Like, I feel like I have changed tremendously. Black and white, complete difference of a person since I've made that decision. So I am walking, living proof how my life has changed.
And I just hope that somebody can take something from this conversation too, because it's people that's literally like living suppressed, and they're living in a lifestyle,
and that's
scary
very,
very
place.
Toxic, where they don't even feel like they have anybody to reach out to.
Right. It's a scary feeling, and it makes you very vulnerable and very afraid. And like I said, and I can't say it enough, ashamed. You feel guilty. You feel
that's the hardest part is really like breaking free from it, because like you said, it's the cycle that you've been in for so long. So it's like you said, finding a way to really like break free from it.
Right.
You know.
Right. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. We'll wrap it here for now. I mean, hopefully we'll kind of get back into some of these conversations that kind of branch off of all of this toxicity, narcissism, narcissistic abuse in general, and the toxicity levels in relationships.
Absolutely.
But hopefully, like you said, y'all get something out of this, and y'all comment down below. Let us know what y'all think about this, and if it hit home for anybody.
Definitely more than ever this episode, we definitely need people to really like tune in.
Like this can relate to everybody.
Right.
This can relate to anybody and everybody. So yeah, y'all tap in. Let us know what y'all think about this down in the comment section below. If y'all enjoyed it, give us a big thumbs up. I know this was probably a hard one to listen to. This was not a rant session. This is truth. This is truth telling. This took a lot for me to even speak up on.
Yeah, to even broach this subject.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of things that we really wanted to talk about, and people were asking, and questions that we've seen too that kind of like related to like their own family dynamics. So it was almost like vicariously, it's like people are living like the same types of life or been through the same types of trauma. So I felt like we really needed to like touch on it and really speak about it, because it's a lot of people out there that really need to hear this.
Right. Right.
That's more than ever.
Yeah.
People need to hear this.
Absolutely. So yeah, y'all tap in. Let us know what y'all think. Give us a big thumbs up. Like, comment, subscribe, smash the notification bell so you don't miss any videos from Asia and BJ. If you are on the podcast, streaming platforms, please make sure you hit the download button and leave us a lovely review. Love somebody to life. Okay. And if ain't nobody else told y'all, I love y'all so much.
Absolutely.
And shoot. We're going to see y'all next time.
Absolutely. Till the next episode, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all take it easy. And we love you guys.
Yeah. Bye.